How can people become better networkers? What are the skills of being a good networker?
I bet you know more about this than me. I would say it's being friendly, being open, being honest, transparent, and quite frankly, I find the key to punching above your weight class is not. I mean, sure, it's grit, it's some talent, but more than anything, I think it's the willingness, and maybe this is grit, to endure rejection. If you're a club promoter, you've got to be comfortable going up to strange women and saying hi and introducing yourself and saying, there's a great party here, or putting up with some douchebag asshole who's spending a lot of money and giving you a hard time and putting your own ego aside. Because he bought a bottle, he thinks he's, fucking Prince Charles. You're just going to have to be willing to get out a spoon and eat a lot of shit. And I've always said to the kids in my class, and I tell the following story. When I had just moved to New York, on weekends, I'd go down to South Beach in Miami, and I got an apartment in the Continuum, and I used to go out, and I went to the Raleigh Hotel, and I walked in, and I saw a woman I was very attracted to, or anyone was going to be attracted to. She was very attractive. And I promised myself, I am going to speak to that woman before I leave this hotel. And it was in the middle of the day. They had a DJ. It was a pool party at the Raleigh Hotel. And I'm like, oh, fuck. She's with a woman and a guy. I don't know how to open. And I walked out and I was at the valet and I'm like, fuck, you promised yourself. So I went back and I just went up to him, right up to him and said, where are you guys from? Anyways, long story short, 18 months later, our son's middle name is Raleigh. And what I tell people is, unless you're willing to take uncomfortable risks, you're never going to put yourself in a position of economic or professional or romantic success. Or let me put it this way, you're never going to punch above your weight class. And so your ability to endure rejection, your ability to put yourself in uncomfortable situations is absolutely, people have different words for it, scrappy, right? But if you want, unless you have an unbelievable certification and you come out, if you come out of MIT Business School and you're an AI prompt engineer, you don't need to have much grit. I mean, maybe you got grit going there, but Microsoft's coming for you to offer you a world of opportunity. For the other 99.9% rest of us, get used to emailing people who will not email you back. And then when they say they're not interested, assume that means they want to hear from you a month later, right? The secret to my success is rejection. I applied to 9 schools, business schools. I got into 2, really just one. One put me on the waiting list. I can't tell you how much rejection I've endured from women. I mean, it's staggering. I ran for sophomore, junior, and senior class president. I lost all 3 times. And based on my track record, I decided to run for student body president, where I went on to, wait for it, lose. And I've started 9 businesses. Most of them have failed. 1 out of 7 businesses succeed. So I started 9 and 2 won. And that's all you need. All you need is one good mentor, a few good friends, one wonderful mate, one business that works. But to get there means putting yourself in a position of rejection over and over and over. And here's the thing, it sounds easy. Most people will not do what you did in Newcastle, or was it Newcastle? Is that what you said? They're not going to go up to strangers and say, hey, there's a great party Friday night. You should come. Here's the thing on it. Texting back and forth. Give me your credit card if you want a table. I mean, the majority of people, 99% of people will not do that. That's why in any company, the most overcompensated people relative to their IQ and their work ethic are the salespeople. And this is what they have in common. They either played with the wrong toys or the right toys, and they will get out that spoon and start calling people that don't want to hear from them, and then following up, pretending to be their friend, being nice to them when they're not nice back. That is the key, in my view, to success. If you're Kanye or Madeleine Albright or Stephen Hawking, you're going to be fine. Assume you are not that person.
A much more reliable route to success is just resilience and an ability to eat shit. I went back 100%. In. There's a way that you can view on your phone. You can see the number of messages that you've sent and received on WhatsApp. And I went in before I wiped it, when I exited the events company. I went in and I'd received 6 million and sent 4 million WhatsApp messages while I'd been on that last phone. 4 million WhatsApp messages, and almost all of them had been sent via fingertips. When I first launched this podcast, I went through, I think I might have about 1,000 people in my address book, and I went through every single one of them and sent them the same message, which was, hey, I've just released this podcast. Would you mind subscribing on Apple Podcasts? To 1,000 different contacts, most of whom I hadn't seen for forever. But that was just like baked into the blood of what I'd kind of done. That was part of it was just par for the course. You message random people. That's how you get them to come to your nightclub. So basically what we're saying is everybody should become a club promoter for a couple of years, and then they can be.
I think I would love my kids. I'm really hoping that the election in America turns out one way, and I'm thinking about taking my 16-year-old to do canvassing. Canvassing is knocking on doors and trying to get people to register to vote and then telling them, hi, I'm here with the Biden campaign. And a few times there's a pit bull and there's someone who is not a Biden supporter. And it is really uncomfortable and really unpleasant. And you have to be polite, and they slam the door in your face, and then you have to go to the next house. I think that is really important for a young person to learn those skills, to recognize that was really uncomfortable. And then 10 minutes, you realize, I'm fine. The first time it happens, you're traumatized. The second time it happens, you're like, whatever. Third time it happens, you're angry at the person. By the time the 20th time happens, you're like, I don't care. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Or you can laugh about it.
Yeah. I'm fine. That is an unbelievably powerful skill. And what you did, I did something every business I've ever started. I started a strategy firm when I was 26, trying to sell strategy engagements into, Fortune 1000 companies. And I would write a letter. I would sit down and I would write a letter to Williamson and say, the growth potential in this brand is West Elm office. Home office is going to be huge. West Elm is perfectly positioned for it. Here are the SKUs. Here's your distribution strategy, your capital strategy, how you would signal. And I would basically do a strategy engagement, and then I would send it via FedEx. This was word processing, not a lot of email back then, some email, not a lot. This is 30 years ago when I was 26. And I'd send them a letter with this like strategy engagement and say, this is free. And the next one, if you have other big, hairy questions you want answered, call me. And most of the time you're putting in, 4-8 hours to write these things up. I can do this stuff pretty quickly. I have an aptitude for it. And most of the time you never hear back. You call them and the assistant would say, oh yeah, we found it. We don't know what it was. We threw it out. Please don't call us again. And occasionally I would get a meeting with the CEO of Levi's. He'd bring me in and say, we're trying to figure out the gray market problem. People are buying 501s and JFK and taking them to Germany. And, consulting is give me your hardest questions and I'm going to try and answer them thoughtfully. And I built a big consulting firm by cold calling CEOs. And I wouldn't just cold call them. I'd do a prospective engagement for them. And most of the time it was kind of humiliating. Like, let me get this. I spent all Sunday telling Dreyer's ice cream how they should discover new flavors and that they should be thinking about using Nestle for their distribution. All this shit. But occasionally it would hit. If you're not willing to do that, never going to punch above your weight class.
This episode is brought to you by Element. Stop having coffee first thing in the morning. Your adenosine system that caffeine acts on isn't even active for the first 90 minutes of the day, but your adrenal system is, and salt acts on your adrenal system. Element contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio of sodium, potassium, and magnesium with no sugar, no gluten, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, or any other BS. It plays a critical role in reducing muscle cramps and fatigue while optimizing brain health, regulating appetite, and curbing cravings. The orange flavor in a cold glass of water is literally the best way to start your morning. I've done it every single day for over 3 years now, way before they were a partner on the show, and I love it. Best of all, there is a no BS, no questions asked refund policy, so you can buy absolutely risk-free, and if you do not like it for any reason, they will give you your money back, and you don't even need to return the box. Right now, you can get a free sample pack of all 8 flavors with your first box by going to the link in the description below or heading to drinklmnt.com/modernwisdom. That's drinklmnt.com/modernwisdom. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that clip, you will love the full-length podcast in all its glory, which is available right here. Go on. Press it.